stories of angels show that they help, protect, and guide us. And when we're young, we're much closer to the angels. When I was growing up in my hometown of Zelienople, my mother was my first angel. But I believe my high school home ec teacher, Mrs. Gross, was my sewing angel, for she inspired and encouraged me. Well, this is my high school yearbook, the Zillian. My companion angel is my sister Patty, who is also my very good friend. Well, I think the angels connect our energies, don't you think?
I think you're right. We work really well together. And this is my favorite angel, the angel of grace. My favorite colors, of course.
True.
Carrying a basket of pansies. And this is how it translated into a quilt project, a pillow. This is called a Tooth Fairy pillow. She's got her own little basket of oh, there's all sorts of little teeth in there. And a magic wand, of course.
Well, when I have grandchildren, I'll make them one.
Good idea.
Sandy Thompson made this town square sampler out of her fall-colored fabrics. I can just about smell the cinnamon. And her angel has red hair. She's so cute.
And they're reminding us to give thanks at Thanksgiving time.
With the banner.
Yeah. And these angels are reminding us to celebrate. This is the winter town square sampler with the dark snowy night and the cool clear snow on the ground.
Ooh, and I love the stars.
Now, if you don't want to make a big quilt, you can always make a smaller wall hanging. We have the main street scene, and then these angels are holding a garland of stars.
Little easier than the banner.
I think so. For me, it is.
Definitely.
And then if you want to go even smaller, we have a single angel on a cold, snowy night.
I like those trees.
Brr. And as winter turns into spring, the angel's bringing us the flowers. And this fabric inspired me as the blue turns into green. I thought this was a perfect border.
Wonderful. Oh, there are angels in our quilting as well. So let's take the creativity angels with us to the sewing table. Our method of doing the applique is heavenly, isn't it, Pat?
I wouldn't do it any other way.
For certain. Now, do you want to go over all of the parts of the angel?
I can do that. A little anatomy lesson.
Okay.
These are the hands, of course, and the feet and the face, all from the same fabric.
Right.
And then the dress has two parts. This is, this I call the top of the dress, the bottom of the dress. And you want to look for contrast. I used a light and a darker. Consider the color of your background and show contrast in texture also. A small print and then a little check. And this, of course, is her wing.
Good.
And her hair. Oh, I forgot her halo. Don't forget, Angel's got to have her halo.
Perfect. All of the pieces. Now you want to begin with your light to medium weight, non-woven fusible interfacing. We're going to just trace all the patterns on it. Now when you have that product, you want to feel and find the smooth side of it. That's the side we're going to trace on, and then the dotted fusible side is going to be underneath. So I have the wings, and these are mirror image, right,
Yes,
Pat?
yes,
Mirror image.
important.
And I have on this one the wings and then all of the body parts. You need to have a permanent marking pen, and actually I have a pretty thick one just so you can see it. But you want to just trace on the line. Ooh, I could tell. I had too much coffee.
No wiggling.
No wiggling. Well, you're going to trace all of your patterns onto the fusible interfacing, and I already have the dress ready to go. And this was what it looks like, the left and the right dress, and then the same thing for the sleeves. Now the dress comes from a 12-inch square. This is the good large scale, isn't it? And then this piece right here is 3.5 inches by 12.5 inches. Now I already sewed lace in between, but you could go ahead and sew the lace on top as well, either one. All right, so just line up the dotted line on the pattern with that seam for the lace. How about some pins? Gosh,
Can't do without the pins.
I don't do
I've tried it. It doesn't work without pins.
Slides all over the place, doesn't it? Okay,
Yeah.
some pins throughout.
And I'm ready for sewing. Now, you really need to have a foot that you can see. And this particular foot, the metal foot, is great because it has clear plastic right up here. It has a wide space in here for the stitches. You need to use metal so it slides along your fusible interfacing. But this one is my favorite because it's clear on top, but the bottom has the metal, so it just slides right along. Now I'm going to go ahead and just pop my foot in there. Get my foot on, Pat. Reduce the stitch length to 1.8. And one thing that's really great about this machine is that you can reduce the pressure on the presser foot just by turning this knob right up here. Let's see, I'm at 3. I'm going to go down to 1. So now I can just fast.
We like that no pressure, low pressure.
Low pressure. That's what sewing's all about.
That's right, low pressure.
Okay, now I'm just going to take and drop my foot on here, needle down, and I'm going to just sew on the line. Ooh, I am going to sew with my red thread, but you can actually match it up to your background fabric, but just sew on the line. And I'm just going to swing right around while you pick up, Pat.
Okay, you're doing very well. You can sew straighter than you can draw.
Well, thank you.
Okay, we have these are the hands and feet already sewn. And you can see they're 2 at a time, 2 pairs of feet, 2 pairs of hands. We're actually doing both angels at the same time. And then 2 heads are better than 1.
That's good.
Hopefully, if we put our 2 heads together, we can get this quilt done.
When I forget, you can just tell me.
Oh, okay.
Put me back on track.
Okay, so I am trimming 1/8 of an inch beyond the stitches. And then once I go all the way around my piece, I'm going to just cut it in half. And I will have my 2 heads ready to turn.
You're there.
There we go, just cut that head in half. And then I take my favorite little turning tool. I've got a straw.
Or tools.
Or tools. Yeah, I have 2 straws to choose from. Depending on the size of the part, if it's a pretty big part, I can use a larger straw. And then if it's a smaller piece, I use a little straw, depending on the size. And this is too easy. Just slip the straw inside, put the fabric on the end of the straw, and then my favorite tool, a
Bodkin.
what kind of bodkin?
It's a ballpoint bodkin.
Very
Gotta have a ballpoint.
important. Yeah, it's got to have a ballpoint. Turn it right side out. And then I'm just going to use that ball end again to smooth out the edges. Just run it gently along the stitches. And then one more step. This is another favorite tool, the wood press, that you just give it a nice press, and this will actually give me a nice smooth edge, and I can actually press it so that it will cover up that interfacing, keep it underneath.
Great.
Yeah.
And so I have the hair that's already been trimmed and turned. Now I'm a stiletto person, so I like to take my stiletto and just kind of pick out those points so that they're nice and crisp. Just go around there, after the wooden iron, just pull those pieces out, and then you want to stuff it with 100% cotton batting, and you just cut the pieces exactly the same size. Cut your cotton batting the same size. I'm going to put it on the underneath, and then with a pair of hemostats, let me get my hemostats up here, just grab hold the edge of the cotton batting, and then you can just slip it right in there and pull it out to the edges. And it's just very easy to take this tip and just get right up into the top of the hair. Well, we're doing good, Pat.
Yeah, and I'm getting very good with my hemostats.
Oh, all right.
Practice makes perfect.
Well, we just need to finish trimming and turning, and then we'll go on to the next step. We're celebrating because our angels are just about ready to fly out of here.
Hooray!
Well, Patty has all of the angel body parts and the placement sheets.
This is the left angel placement sheet and the right angel placement sheet. As you can see, I've arranged all my pieces. I've pinned them together so it will be easier to transport them over to my sky fabric. Now, this is one way you can do it with pins, or
This is the Patty way.
yeah, the long way. Or we have the fast way, the Eleanor way, using this is called a pressing sheet, which is a wonderful piece of equipment, and you can just arrange your placement sheet under the pressing sheet.
You can kind of just peek right through there.
Yeah, you can just arrange all your pieces. Those little feet are a little bit out of order, and then we're ready to press them together.
We can press them into one unit so they're easier to manipulate.
Yeah, is your iron hot?
It's my press and it's very hot.
Oh, that's even better. Okay, well, I'm going to pass this to you. I'm going to keep the placement sheet.
Okay, so now just place it right on here, and I'll give Pat the 16-inch. Okay, now you just pull the press down, let it for a couple of seconds. Ooh, let's see, 1001, 1002, 1003. And then when you lift it up, it should be fused together into one unit. That way, oh, and it is hot. Woo. It's much easier to manipulate and then move around all the units. Oh my gosh, I'm burning myself. Now you can decide. You can go ahead and make a banner for your angels, or you can do a garland. Now I'm going to go the banner route, and Patty's.
I love flowers, so I've chosen the garland.
And she is also the fussy one. But this is the banner. This is the pattern right here. And you need to take template plastic and make 1/2 of the banner. Then take your non-woven fusible interfacing, trace 1/2 of the banner, and then just flip it over and trace the second half. And then from that point on, it's exactly the same as we did. You're going to just pair it up with your fabric, sew on the line, trim it, and turn it, and it's ready to go. Now you could go ahead and choose to say a number of different things, but we decided to say celebrate. Now these are the words right here. They're printed.
Oh, they're backwards.
But whenever you fuse them on, they're going to come out right, believe me. And now there's no way I'm going to just turn these little letters. So I'm going to use another product called Paperback Fusible Webs. Paper here, fusing on the back side. You can actually feel it. So you just place it on top of your pattern sheet, use a permanent marking pen, and trace all of your letters. Now comes the letter fabric. You want to place the fusing on the wrong side of the fabric. Here's that right side. And now take these pieces and fuse them in place. You do not want to have any fusing larger than your fabric. Let's just lift it up and we'll do a check. Just go in the corner and peel it back. Ooh, I think maybe just a little bit longer. Do a test, check and make sure, but there's a fine line when it's too long and when it's just right. That looks good. So allow it to cool, very hot. And then all you want to do is just trim out your letters. Now there's a number of them that have these little spots right in here with the little E. You could go ahead and just take the points of your scissors and poke them out, or just go ahead and go in here like this and cut around the inside of your letters. Now take your banner and just arrange a few letters at a time. Fuse them in place, and then depending on the product, you can go ahead and stitch these down, or you can go ahead and just leave them loose. I think it depends if you want to launder your quilt too. Don't you think, Pat?
I would suggest when you fuse those letters down, how about
use
the pressing mat, because that's going to stick on your ironing board if you don't put something else under it.
Be a mess. You're right. Well, these are the sky pieces, and they are 15 inches wide by 34 inches long. There's 2 of them, and I seam them together right down through the middle. So now that you have your sky, one big piece, take your banner. Let me find the center. Ooh, that looks good. Find the center. Better grab a ruler because you don't want to have a crooked banner up there. And place it so that it's 3 inches down from the top. Let me see. Okay, 3 inches, that's good. Now you want to do some checking on the side. Okay, it's 5.5 here. You need to just work back and forth. Make a little adjustment on one side and then in the other. Check it on this side. It's 6 inches here. Put 6 inches there.
Perfect.
It's good. So then once the banner's in place, you could fuse that down, get that all stitched down. And where's this one-piece angel sticking right here? And she's going to just have her hands lightly touching the banner and then just do the same measuring so that you get the both of them placed exactly. So now we're going to switch places because you're the garland girl. The flower child is ready.
Yes, and I've arranged my angels so they're evenly balanced from side to side, and then I'm going to allow about 15 inches between the angels, which you can see it's a little bit closer together than with the banner. And then I'm making a paper pattern to create an arc. I've folded my paper in half, line up the center with the center seam, and then I just took a pencil. I drew an arc from the center to the hand, make a little curve to go to the other hand, and then, see how fast I cut it out?
You are fast.
Too fast. And then you can see where I'm going to place the garland evenly balanced. And I have about 40 inches of this green cording, which I'm just going to line up with the arc. Be sure and line up the center with the center of the pattern, and then you can just very nicely arrange it. Put a little wiggly line on the end. I like to do something kind of like that. Whoops, better put it in her hand.
Perfect.
There we go. You like that?
Beautiful.
Okay, now there's 2 different ways you can put it down. You can, actually there's 3 ways.
Okay.
You can glue it. I like this washable fabric glue. It has a nice long nozzle. You can just put a line of glue under it, or you can hand sew it.
Or you
can
can sew it by machine.
Invisible
I could use invisible thread and a large zigzag stitch.
Right. Now we're going to get fussy, as you would call it. I have these wonderful silk roses that I'm going to start in the center. And you just kind of start from the center and add on each side. So I'm going to balance it from side to side. I like to alternate large flowers and then small flowers.
Those are beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Oh, I made them myself. Just kidding. And then I'm going to do a couple more big ones. Put a little one in between and kind of fuss a little bit. Oh, I don't know if I like that color. So I would probably do a little bit of trial and error just till I get it perfect.
Good.
But you can.
Now, could you do it after your top was done? Could you put your garland after your top is
Good
done?
question. Actually, I normally add the garland after it's been quilted. I do a lot of stippling in the sky, and it's actually up to you. You can do it now. You can hand sew the flowers. It would be sometimes easier to do it after the quilt's put together.
True.
Okay.
So, what if you don't like ribbon roses?
Well, stick around. I'll show you another way to do it.
That sounds good.
I know you don't like those fussy ribbon flowers, so I'm going to make you some flowers out of yo-yos.
Oh, and I love yo-yos.
I thought so. All you need is a 3-inch circle of fabric and an iron. I'm going to start by finding the center, fold in half, make a crease, and then I bring the outside edge into the center and press. Give it another little turn. Bring this point into the center and press again.
So this is just all folding? No
All
ironing?
folding.
Or no sewing?
Sewing comes later. We're going to take one little quick stitch with a button, but just keep on pressing to the center. And I'm almost finished. Got one more, whoop, watch those fingers. And then see, I have one little point left, which is going to be my final press. And so a button in the middle. And I did all different colors, different colored buttons. And then to balance out the big buttons, I have little buttons with little green leaves, which are made from 3 inches of silk ribbon. And I'm going to do kind of a little figure 8. If you just bring the end into the center, and actually you put it underneath the center, take a stitch, and then bring the opposite end into the center, take another stitch, and then sew your button in the middle.
Perfect.
Isn't that cute?
It's too cute. Now, if you don't have cording, you can go ahead and substitute some silk ribbon in place of the cording. I put a piece of stabilizing paper underneath, and then I just anchored it. I took a long piece, found the center of it, anchored it right here, and now I just have 3.0 stitch length. I'm just going to crisscross the ends of my silk ribbon, stitch over it, and go 1, 2, 3. Was that 3 or 2?
You can't count at this point.
I can't count. 1, 2, 3. Yes. And crisscross.
Perfect chain.
1, 2, 3, and crisscross. So then the yo-yos are going to go right on top of this silk ribbon.
Right on top. And when you get to the end, you can pull those ends through to the back side of the fabric.
Great. So do you have any other good ideas?
Oh, yes. I've got lots more to show.
Okay. Our wall hanging is growing. We finished the garland. It's so cute.
Thank you. Yeah, I was in a little hurry, so I had to hot glue my flowers down.
That sounds like me, Pat.
But you can see what I've done with the hands. I peeled them back when we did the chain. And then the little flowers, if you want, you can tack that leaf down to create a flatter look.
And how did you finish the angel?
Oh, how do you think? Of course, I hand stitched.
Of course. And I would go ahead and use invisible thread and do the blind hem stitch and get it done quickly.
Well, I wanted to recreate a small town like many of the small towns I've visited. I love Carmel and Mendocino, Bar Harbor.
And Harmony.
Of course. And we're going to take a little visit here. Our first stop is the flower shop. And you can see where I get my inspiration from the fabrics. I found a flower stand fabric, which I did a cutout. And then I traced the outline on the back so you can follow this guideline. And then, of course, sew it to your interfacing and turn right side out. And then some other little details. I love the little doorknob I found in a miniature store.
Did you sew that down?
Well, I could. It's, you know, it's just laid out, of course. We're still
ready.
We're still working
We're
on
still
this
building.
one. Okay. But if you want to create a little flower garden, if you don't want to applique, you can just insert a piece of floral fabric into the cottage. And then I added spacers between the houses.
That's good.
Grew some trees.
Easy.
And then, oh, every small town has to have a
Quilt shop.
Of course. And I embellished some lace curtains. And at the bottom, I inserted a piece of green fabric, some leaves, and then I did some French knot flowers. Oh, look, there's a
quilt show. We have to go.
Yeah, so if you want to, you can certainly make your own miniature quilts.
Never.
But I was really lucky. I found this cheater fabric, which I created some little quilts.
Sue could piece one like that.
She
that size.
could, yeah. And then let's go on through town. And I'm getting hungry. You think we should stop and have something to eat?
The Nagels always find a place to eat.
This is fresh fruits and vegetables, but I think I would probably stop at the bakery. And then this was my favorite find. This is a tin garland, and I couldn't pass it up. It's my favorite flower, the morning glory.
And it's such a charming town.
Oh, thank you.
We have to visit there someday.
Or move in, perhaps.
Well, that's true. As you quilt, may you celebrate with the angels.